Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 44 of Get Real with Rajiv. Like every week we are going to be answering 4 questions and today Bhakti is going to be the voice of your questions. So Bhakti, what's the first question?
We have a first question from Gangadhar. After the lockdown started, we explained the situation the business was in and requested our employees to support the company. We also committed to pay back the deferred amount. We paid minimum wages required for each of the individuals. One of the employees raised voice in daily stand-up meeting and he started shouting. How do I handle such situations?
Well, Gangadhar, firstly, thank you so much for asking that question and I can totally empathize with that kind of a challenge. And I would answer this question more as an appeal to business owners as well as their team members. And Gangadhar, use this video to showcase it to that employee. I think we are in a very, very delicate time in businesses. And this is the time where both the business owner as well as the team members need to bring forth maximum empathy and togetherness with each other. And Gangadhar, with what you've shared, it seems like you've been pretty fair with your employees where you've reached out to them, communicated to them transparently about the business situation, shared with them the financial position of the business, and then asked for a flexibility to pay a portion of the salary immediately and defer the remaining portion of the salary. And I love the word that you've used, deferred the salary, which means you intend to pay it to them probably in the near future once things normalize. Now I feel the approach you've taken, Gangadhar, is a very, very reasonable approach. Having said that, if you have a team member who this decision is not going down well with, I think you should pull such a person out, have a one-to-one conversation, understand their concern, understand their pain, understand their challenge, empathize with them if there is reasonability and rationality in their challenge. But if you feel this is just one of those people who does not care about an organization and just has their individual self-interest in mind, then Gangadhar, thank your stars because you've been able to identify someone who does not fit into the culture of an organization which is trying to be fair to its workforce. Now some people may watch this and argue with me and say, hey Rajiv, now when businesses are in crisis, they are reaching out to their employees and they are asking for flexibility in payout, they are asking for a deduction in pay or a deference in a portion of the pay. What about times where businesses have been doing well and making good money? Did they reward their employees enough? Well, I also completely understand and empathize and agree to that argument. If we as business owners haven't been win-win throughout the journey and now when we are in crisis, we are reaching out to our employees and saying, hey, now support us, then that is a little bit of hypocrisy on the side of the business owner. But if we as a business owner throughout the journey of our business, when times were normal, have rewarded our team members when the business has grown, and today when we are seeking that support, then I think our team members owe it to us to support us as well. So Gangadhar, my solution would be, firstly, reflect on why this person is behaving the way this person is behaving, understand their perspective, and if you think it is only one person and the rest of the organization understands and empathizes, then it would be fair even to let such a person go because this person is a culture misfit, this person seems like a troublemaker. But if you feel that this is a very rational reaction from a person saying, hey, till today you've not rewarded us when things have gone right, when things are going sour, why are you taking away from us? Then Gangadhar, you need to take that responsibility, own up to your team members and probably make that shift for the future. So firstly, an appeal to everybody who's a business owner, do what Gangadhar has done if you are in a crisis and you are not able to financially survive, which means request for flexibility, ask for a deferred pay option, create a common goal for the end of the year and say, once we achieve that goal, whatever amount we are deducting right now will be paid to the team. A deferred pay is any day better than a pay deduction. Having said that, you as team members, those of you who are watching, step up and support those businesses because that business survival is also important. So step up and support. And as business owners, we need to learn a lesson that you got to be fair to your team members throughout. That's when you can demand this kind of flexibility and commitment from them. And Gangadhar, for you the answer is reach out one-to-one, understand what the challenge is. If there is rationality in what that person is doing, then take responsibility. But if you feel this person is just a troublemaker, feel free to let go without any guilt. With that, let's move to the second question for this week.
Our next question is from Ajay Rastogi. How do we handle the uncertainty around us in the business? It creates a lot of stress.
Well, Ajay, very, very relevant question to these times. The only way I would say to deal with uncertainty that the approach one should use is, if I have to break it down in steps, the first step would be acceptance. Acceptance of what is in your control and acceptance of what is not in your control. The brain slips into stress and worry only when we start fretting over what's not in our control and we start fighting it emotionally. So let's understand one thing. There are certain things that are not in our control. COVID-19 happening is not in our control. The lockdown happening is not in our control. The recession, the economic crisis, the slowdown, all of that is not in our control. Firstly, we need to accept that the more we try to fight these things, the more we are going to slip into worry. And the more we slip into worry, worry is going to kill us more than the actual problem will. So please understand and have that acceptance that all of this is not in my control. What's in my control is what I'm thinking about, what I'm talking about, what I'm feeling, and what I'm doing. So be very careful about what are your thoughts, what are your conversations, what are your feelings and emotions, and what are your actions as a result of that. And most of that is influenced by what you're consuming. So be very careful about what you're consuming. Don't sit and consume those random WhatsApp forwards. Don't sit and track the growth of the COVID-19 virus minute to minute, hour to hour in your city, in your neighborhood, or in your country, or in some random country where you have never ever stepped into. So be careful about what you're consuming. So have that acceptance of what's in your control, what's not in your control. The second step would be awareness. Get closer to your market, whoever your audience is, whoever your target customer is. Get closer to them and understand where they are at. How are they seeing the world? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? And meet them where they are. Okay, this is not about going out to the market and saying, let's not be negative, guys, let's just do business as usual. No, I think the first step is awareness of seeing what our customer is seeing, feeling what our customer is feeling, empathizing with them, and yet encouraging them to take the next step. Which means the first step is to empathize with them before you encourage them into a call to action of what they should be doing in terms of consumption of your product or service. So the second step is that awareness of where is the market at. What are people looking at spending money on? What do people see value in? What do people not see value in? And how would people want to spend their money at this point of time, especially your own target audience? So the second step is awareness. The third step is actually letting go of a sense of entitlement. You know, we as the world, we are not enjoying the situation because we expect it to be a little different from what it is right now. So we have a sense of entitlement where we are feeling wronged by what is happening. We're feeling like, how can this happen? We may not like what is happening. We may not enjoy what is happening. We may, in fact, get angry at what is happening, and we don't know where to channelize all these emotions. So I feel this is a time where everything is gone into reset mode, and all of us have to start from scratch. And for us to start from scratch, we have to let go of our entitlement, of our past victories, of where we were at, of how life should have been at this point of time. Unless and until we don't let go of that feeling of entitlement, we will not be able to adapt. So let go of any feelings of entitlement and look at adapting. And how do you adapt? Ask yourself, how can I add value to people around me, to my customers? And make sure that you adapt by adding value in the manner where your customer is willing to pay for that value today. So it's almost like pressing a reset button. That's how you deal with uncertainty. Acceptance of what is in your control, what's not in your control. Awareness of where your customer is at. How are they thinking? What are they feeling? What do they want to do? Letting go of your personal entitlement of, we've been in business all these years, things should be this way, things are not happening. Let go of all that frustration. Any emotion that you don't enjoy is happening at this point of time because we feel a certain sense of entitlement of how things should be. So let go of that entitlement and give yourself the permission to start from scratch and serve from scratch. And that's why you have to adapt and serve people based on what they need today, not based on how the game was before the lockdown or before COVID-19 hit us. So let's start serving people based on what they need today. That's where we need to start. So I hope that helps, Ajay, on how you deal with uncertainty and how you create progress for yourself during these uncertain times. With that, let's move to the third question.
Our third question is from Anvaya Chug. When two partners have a different approach to running, managing, and a different idea of the business culture, how do you suggest we sort it out?
Well, Anvaya, I find it a very healthy thing when you have two different personalities co-founding or partnering in a business, because I think a true partnership is about two complementary sets of skills, strengths and personalities coming together to form the perfect picture. It's like two pieces of a puzzle. If they are the same, then they won't come together. So there has to be that sense of difference. Having said that, the question really is that do you have the openness towards agreeing to disagree to each other? Do you have the trust in each other's intention and actions and saying this person is always doing the best that they can, the best that they can see, the best that they can do, and is that person having the same trust in you? So I would say being different is not a challenge. Having a different style, different approach is not a challenge. What can be a challenge is if we are not willing to accept the difference, if we are not willing to allow the difference and demonstrate trust on each other's different style and different skill. So a lot of times we fail to do this as business partners in business because we are judging the other person and we want that other person to fit into our mold. The day you as business partners realize that it is in fact healthy that both of us are different, and what are the merits of that difference and how those differences actually add value to the business, when you start seeing that, that's when you start working together in a complementary manner as business partners. So based on your question, Anvaya, what I feel is that the challenge is you both are not able to acknowledge the difference. You both are not willing to accept the difference. Both are not willing to place the trust on each other for having that difference. And if you're not willing to do that, then it's best to part ways and take your own journeys. But if you're willing to do that, then you will enjoy the journey, because you need two complementary personalities to build a successful business. I hope that makes sense and gets you to reflect on how you're viewing the difference, Anvaya, and I hope that serves you. With that, let's move to the fourth and final question for this week. So what's the fourth question, Bhakti?
The fourth question is from Karthi Ganesh. For a startup in the FMCG industry to hire the first salesperson in my team, which do you think would help better in terms of sales? To hire an experienced salesperson or a fresher, and why?
Well, Karthi, I'm not a man of answers. I'm a man of more questions. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break down for you the benefit of hiring a fresher and the benefit of hiring an experienced person, and also probably the cons of hiring a fresher or a salesperson, and then you decide what you think is the best based on your context and your situation. So if you hire a fresher, then please understand the pro of that is obviously going to be, as a startup, you don't have to invest too much into the salary of that fresher. That's going to be the benefit of hiring a fresher. The second benefit of hiring the fresher can be that you can groom this person the way you want them to be. Which means if you are also a sales expert yourself as an entrepreneur and you are good at selling what you are offering to the market, then you can coach, mentor and develop this person to replicate yourself, because freshers are more moldable, for the lack of a better word. So that's the benefit of hiring a fresher. They are more developable in line with what you want them to be and how you want them to do things. And second, your investment in the fresher is obviously going to be low. The benefit of hiring an experienced person is that person will come with skills, knowledge and network, and you can start expecting results from such a person immediately. The con is you have to be willing to spend and invest the money. The con is you then probably are willing to surrender yourself as a startup to that individual's approach based on how they are going to take your product or service to the market. So you got to be willing to trust that person with that. That's the con of hiring an experienced person. The con of hiring a fresher is that you got to invest your personal time and energy in grooming and developing that person, and you cannot expect immediate results from that person. So now, Karthi, you need to answer the question for yourself, is that do you have the money to invest in a professional, or do you have the time to invest in a fresher? Which one do you have? Do you have the waiting power for a fresher to develop and then produce results for you? Or do you not have any time luxury at your disposal and you need immediate results, then go for an experienced person? So you need to evaluate these parameters for yourself, Karthi, and then make the decision whether you need to hire an experienced person or a fresher for your FMCG startup. With that, we come to the end of this episode, and now is the time for us to pick the best question for the week, who will receive a copy of my book Lead or Bleed. So Bhakti, which option would you recommend? Okay, so I am in resonance with Bhakti. So the best question for this week goes to
Anvaya Chuk.
Anvaya Chuk for asking the question on the two partners having their differences. The reason I picked you, Anvaya, is because you asked a question that is very, very important and crucial for businesses that run with partners at the helm of affairs. And I think it will be most useful for you to receive a copy of my book Lead or Bleed, because you and your partner together need to read that book and benefit from it and make changes in the way you're relating to each other at this point of time. So with that, we come to the end of episode number 44 of Get Real with Rajiv, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next episode. But before that, you need to do some work. You need to click on the share button below and share this video with as many people as possible. And you need to send in your questions on the WhatsApp number that you see here or in the comment section below, so that we can answer more questions as you ask me these questions. So with that, we come to the end of Get Real with Rajiv, episode number 44. I look forward to seeing you in episode number 45.